Horizon Chess Home Studio Reaction. This is America's Secret Top Tier Animal by the channel TierZoo. America's Secret Top Tier. What could be that? In America? Crocodiles? No, I don't think it can be crocodiles. What is it? What is native to America? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be surprised in this. Like this type of videos is always like, oh, this is fun to know, but you didn't know that. Like, yeah, probably won't know that. So it's gonna be fun. Let's watch it. Hello, TierZoo. Anything like this is the first channel I think I started react to whenever it comes to animal zoology type of videos. So it's always fun to react to more TierZoo. I like how he always like make this like it's a game or something. He calls like nature god whatever developers. I like how they nerfed this animal. It's just always fun. Let's watch it.
Cheetahs are low-tier trash. The fastest land build in the game has a ton of flaws in its game plan, which you could learn about in this video here if you like.
Yeah.
But enough about cheetahs. What about the second fastest? Do you even know what it is? How does it stack up against its competition?
Horse.
I talk a lot on this channel about how overpowered the animals in the Africa server are. And while that's certainly true, the North America server also has its fair share of builds with ridiculously OP stats, including one little-known build with the second fastest run speed in the entire game. You might expect it to be a type of big cat, maybe a close relative of the cheetah, like the mountain lion, or perhaps a type of cervid, like a deer or elk. But no, it's actually the smallest member of the giraffe family, one that most players probably wouldn't expect to be related to the giant that we know and love, the American pronghorn.
Huh? Who?
The pronghorn may not look like much, but it sports some pretty impressive stats, including the second...
Wait a minute, isn't that a deer or is it something different? Like, I always see something like, oh, that's a deer. I always assume that, I don't know.
highest base mobility stat of any terrestrial animal, with only the cheetah having a higher top speed.
Really?
This makes it faster than every other build in the North America server by a substantial margin. Pumas, bears, and even wolves have essentially zero shot at closing the distance to a pronghorn player. Pronghorns have much more endurance than most predators, and are able to maintain these high speeds for significant distances, not just short sprints as most predators do. Pronghorns also have horns on their head which can deal
not just short sprints like this loser do.
decent damage in a pinch, although it's pretty rare that actually need to use them for anything other than dueling against each other. Still, these sharp, keratinized horns can definitely do some damage. Pronghorns aren't particularly stealthy because of their bright white back end. However, even with how noticeable they are, if you ever see a pronghorn, it's almost certain it sees you first. Their eyes are incredibly sensitive and can detect movement from 4 miles away. Because of their huge field of view, this makes it borderline impossible to sneak up on a pronghorn unless your build has some insanely high-level stealth abilities. Pronghorns have one of the lowest HP stats of any North American ungulate. They of course share a server with builds like the elk, moose, and buffalo, all with a massive health bar, making them near impossible to bring down solo. Conversely, pronghorns rely entirely on their speed stat to keep them safe, and can't really afford to take any damage at all. For the most part, the pronghorn's general game plan works great. Because they have the ruminant ability, their food is abundant, as they're able to digest grass, shrubs, and even cacti if necessary.
Cacti?
They also are able to consume plants that are toxic.
Okay, how are they digesting cacti? Won't the spikes actually hurt their internals? Like every time I hear something like ridiculous things like that, like this animal can eat even the entire rose or something, not just the petals, like even the spiky thing. Like how? Won't that just literally bleed out from inside? How is that working?
Builds like sheep, cattle, and horses, meaning they don't usually compete for resources with livestock, and so as long as they don't get careless, pronghorns are usually able to evade most conflict. So why is the pronghorn so uniquely fast? Its immense speed stat legitimately feels like overkill, and I would argue that in the current meta, it absolutely
just
is.
overtook it. Look at that.
However, the pronghorn has been one of North America's top survivalists for a long time, through several balance patches and expansions. And during the Younger Dryas expansion, there were additional, speedier threats that the pronghorn player base had to contend with, namely the American lion and American cheetah. These felid builds were extremely dangerous
You're not
to
gonna lie, every time you see cheetah running, yeah, it makes sense. Like, it's nothing impressive. It's cheetah, of course, gonna run. But you see something like muscular and, heavy, like a lion running, like really fast, like, holy shit. Like, that's just frightening, isn't it? It's like from WWE Brock Lesnar running or something. Like, what the fuck? How's that working?
a lightweight, evasive style build like the Pronghorn. The American Cheetah in particular had a max speed stat roughly equivalent to its African and Asian counterparts, but was also bigger and bulkier than the modern Cheetah. And so during that particular ranked season, the Pronghorn wisely opted to max out its speed and endurance in order to evade attacks from these American felids. However, these felids were banned with the launch of the Holocene balance patch, leaving the Pronghorn hugely overtuned for its remaining competition. Still, this didn't mean automatic success for the Pronghorn. In fact, their player count was dwindling up until very recently. The reason for this is that Pronghorns are extremely poor vertical jumpers, and so they're heavily impeded by any sort of barrier. They require open terrain with good visibility in order to remain competitively viable. So when human players started constructing barriers made of sharp metal, things got really dangerous really fast for the Pronghorn. Most of the herbivore builds in the North American meta can easily clear the vertical of an average barbed wire fence.
With
but Pronghorn
accuracy,
players
look at that.
usually opt to crawl under barriers.
You will not see a single animal fucking up that timing and just literally slamming against the fence and dropping it. All of them are perfect jumps. I guess when you're literally living in basically, kill or be killed type of environment, you can't fuck up, can you? It's like every single moment is tense.
If possible. Because of the Pronghorn's low HP stat, even relatively mild chip damage from barbed wire fences can deal lethal damage to a Pronghorn. This issue was really frustrating to deal with as a Pronghorn main, and so most of them just opted to play characters with better vertical mobility. But eventually, the human player base realized how unfair this tech was, and opted to self-impose a ban on the tech in important areas. As a result, the Pronghorn player base has recovered massively and is no longer at risk of collapsing. So I don't know if I can quite give them an S-tier rank, since they're highly vulnerable to disruption if any sort of major balance patch imposes a lot of barriers into their territory, in addition to the obvious things like human structures, like roads and fences. Any increase in woodland biomes would also severely hamper their ability to detect predators or run for long distances to escape.
It's smart, it can scan things from the distance, it's really fast, it can outrun you, it can outsmart you. Only problem is, its weakness is walls. Fucking walls. Anything comes with it and that's it, we're done. It's like even a 6-inch tall rock and that's it.
This is the main reason why Pronghorns, despite still being faster than any of their potential competition, have failed to make an impact in biomes with less open spaces, such as the woodland tundra biome of the backcountry of Canada, or the jungles of Central America, where stealth-based builds like the Puma and Jaguar have more of an advantage. Now, to be fair, having an unfavorable matchup versus a Jaguar isn't saying much. They are the undisputed top-tier predator throughout the entirety of the Central and South American jungle biome. But it would be impressive to see them diversify their playstyle a bit to see if they could be more competitive in less open terrain, as their other giraffoid ancestors used to be. Especially since the Pronghorn's other
I'm not gonna look, Jaguar is the one thing, like I know about the cars, Jaguar, and I knew there was a cat Jaguar. But I didn't, before, reacting to TierZoo, I didn't know who cats are big. I always assumed tigers and lions and cheetahs are probably more, I thought that cheetah is also among them, probably the most powerful one. Anything else, I don't know. I knew cheetah is going to be powerful, but not as much as lion and tiger, obviously. Lion, tigers are top tier. And then assuming everybody's leopard and everything, just weak ass. Even the jaguar, I thought it's going to be one of the leopard things. But after reacting to TierZoo and watching many things, I realized, holy shit, jaguar is some next level shit. It's equal to tiger and lion. And even better, depending on which the situation is or what the biome is, let's just say. It's insanely assassin level, dominance. And the, bite is just unlike any.
Weakness is made worse by the fact that they spend time in completely open spaces. That weakness being their vulnerability to aerial attacks. With no tree cover, Pronghorns have nowhere to hide from the one predator that actually is able to keep up with them, the golden eagle.
Damn.
They may be the second fastest land build in the game, but if you include flying builds, most birds beat this speed pretty easily, especially predatory birds. Still, it's hard not to respect a build that managed to adapt so effectively that its strategy hard countered the game plan of their main opponents, driving them to complete and total irrelevancy. Then again, is it really that big a flex that a variant of the cheetah
Look
build
at that,
ended up
they're
not
like,
being viable
oh
in the
God,
current
I'm
meta?
overheated.
I wouldn't be that surprised if, given enough time, the African antelope mains also started speccing into higher speed or greater bulk in order to invalidate the African cheetah's only favorable matchup.
Yeah.
Anyways, with all that being
So
said, I'm
cheetahs
gonna
can
give
finally gonna go extinct or something because they already suck. There's only one thing left for them, and even if that goes out, that's it. That's game over.
the pronghorn the rank of A tier.
Yeah.
This video is brought to you by my next video on rhinos, already up on Nebula. Pronghorns are successful despite having some of the smallest horns in the game. They're pretty much the polar opposite of the rhinoceros. I've mentioned the rhino in passing several times in recent videos, but I've never made an entire video dedicated to discussing their strategies, strengths, and weaknesses. That is, until now. I've got an entire video all about the rhino. It'll hit YouTube in a few months, but the full thing is already released on Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service owned and operated by...
Our rhinos OP, that's gonna be a sick video, not gonna lie. Yeah. Rhinos can't, probably is OP. Which video was I think it was like the Frank video about rhinos, which are like, yeah, rhinos can be really OP, right? Even at small spaces and shit. I don't know. But yeah, rhinos is really aggressive because rhinos just like, I'm gonna kill you because they just probably think that you're aggressor or something. I don't know exactly remember what it was. But yeah, rhinos really like can even flip up a car, a truck or something. Rhinos just like full on, like that's the definition of tank. Yeah, this pronghorns, like, okay, I didn't know that. Like there is, I thought second after cheetah is going to be horses. Like, is he categorizing them in different way, or is literally these are the second most fastest, even against the horse? Yeah, that's something. Like, first of all, I like how us humans realize that we are fucking this whole species up, so we actually did something about it. Like, okay, that's like some faith in humanity after all. And an eagle thing, like golden eagle, like damn, look at the birds. Like birds' bones and everything is so like hollow. Like one good strike is enough to crack everything, right? And yet the golden eagles are still like a predator. Like snatches up whole, this pronghorn, whatever, deers and shit in the air just by sheer force. The eagles are ridiculous. For birds, they are way too powerful. Like when you think of birds, you don't think of that kind of predatory birds. Like any birds, like there are way too many birds. Like the species are, like, if you start to count, you're gonna go crazy. And none of them are like anywhere close to being predatory. Only few raptor, like eagle, I guess, peregrine falcon, the falcons basically, even the owls. Right? These are the ones like really like dangerous with their claws and everything. And that's like counterintuitive. You wouldn't think that about the birds. So if you see eagle coming towards you, like, hey, it's a bird, but it will fuck you up basically. Yeah. Right, well, that was America's secret top tier animal by the channel TierZoo. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.